guys, and welcome to Quantum Disney. Today we're casting our Mickey years aside as we're heading to City Walk at Universal Orlando. City Walk Universal Orlando did open a few days ago. There are some new restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic, so we're gonna head down there and check it out and see what's going on. So far we can see from online postings and from videos that when you head into the Universal City Walk, there are temperature checks for guests. I have read that there is staggered parking in the parking lots, so whether that means limited parking also, I'm not sure. We are heading down there kind of in the middle of the day, so I am hoping that there is still availability for us to park and to go into City Walk. There is also apparently markings on the floors around Universal City Walk to put into place the social distancing. The restaurants are at 25% capacity. Not all of the restaurants are open. From what I've read, I think it's Bubblegum, Margaritaville, I know Red Oven is open, Voodoo Donuts also is open, and I believe for Voodoo Donuts and for Red Oven you can order on the app beforehand and then go in. I think also limited retail stores are open. So we're just gonna head in there, see what we can do. I think Jack wants to try eat a Bubba Gump, so we will film in there and see what's going on with that also. Just see what's going on at Universal Orlando. We do have to wear our masks. All of the guests and employees are required to wear masks. So we will be wearing masks, of course. We would do that anyway if we were going out anywhere. There also apparently is hand sanitization stations around Universal City Walk for the guests and the employees to sanitize throughout their time visiting. So we're just gonna head down there, check it out, and see what's going on. Okay, so we just arrived in the car park for City Walk. We did try getting here a bit earlier, but it actually was not open. What I wasn't aware of is that City Walk doesn't actually open until 4 p.m. The hours of operation are 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. For the car park situation, they're parking every other row, but what doesn't really make much sense to me is they're making sure that you have the spaces in between the cars for every other row, but they're still parking cars directly behind one another. I can see from here everyone has their masks on, so I can't particularly see any checkpoint for masks, but it seems that people are putting the masks on in their car and then heading into City Walk. So we have our masks with us. Jack's putting his on right now. I'm about to put mine on and we will head into City Walk. Okay, so we're in City Walk. I was trying to film to show you guys the temperature check, but the guy told me I couldn't film it. But they did do a non-touch temperature test. They also had some hand sanitization stations. So we did that, and now we are on the walkway actually heading into City Walk. Okay, so here we are in Bubblegum Shrimp. It does look like they have a limited menu. The server did come over and tell us that unfortunately, if there was anything on the old menu that we didn't see on this limited menu, right now they're not able to make it happen. But he did say that anything sanitization-wise, if anything made us uncomfortable, then to let them know, and they would do everything they can to fix whatever it was we were having concerns with. They no longer have the stop and go signs for the tables, but any server is able to help any table with the requests. They also had, when we were coming in, you follow the smiley faces on the floor to get to your hostess, who will then take you to your table. The tables are staggered seating, so we're in a booth, there's a booth behind us that's empty, and then behind that one is another booth with people in it. Got my first drink. Got a frozen goes the margarita. So good. What do you think?
I'm hungry.
So we just got out of Bubba Gump, and so far everything's been pretty good. The wait time when we got out of Bubba Gump had gone all the way up to 1 hour, and people were lining up outside the restaurant with the social distancing in place.
Red Oven Pizza Bakery, as well as Cinnamon Cold Stone, and the Toothsome Chocolate Emporium Dessert Foundry.
Welcome to City Walk, guys. Have a great time. Please make sure to adhere to social distancing guidelines. Keep those face masks over your nose and mouth at all times, except when eating and drinking, as well as keeping 6 feet apart from the party around you to make sure you're having a nice, good time.
So we did want to try and go to Voodoo Donuts after we were done with Bubba Gump, but although it may not look like a lot of people, due to the social distancing and only letting a few people in at a time, this line was actually over an hour long, so we decided not to. Next, we headed over to the entrance of Universal Studios. Neither Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure are open yet. None of the theme parks in Florida are. This coming week, the theme parks are allowed to submit their proposals for reopening, so that means the protocols and potential dates for reopening also. But even though the theme parks weren't open, that didn't seem to stop people from heading out and taking pictures in front of that iconic Universal globe. When heading over to the Hard Rock Cafe, it was not open, and this area was extremely empty. Then we headed over to the Chocolate Emporium, which was in fact open. And what was really fun about the Chocolate Emporium was while people were waiting outside to get in, they had these performers on the steps doing their little sketches, and it was really fun and really nice to watch, and a little bit of entertainment for the people waiting. When we headed over to the Margaritaville area, I would definitely say that this was the busiest area that we came across in our visit. There were lots of people walking around, lots of people were in a lot closer proximity than in other areas of City Walk. And I know that when City Walk did first open, Margaritaville's line to get into the restaurant was a few hours long. Now here on the floor you can actually see some of the stickers that they have outside of the restaurant, and those are to implement the 6 feet distance in between each other. Also, what was interesting was a lot of the retail shops were closed, most of them in fact, but the retail stores for the restaurants did seem to remain open. So here, this retail store is for the Margaritaville, and that is open. Next, I headed into the bathroom because I wanted to see what it was like, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was nice and sanitized, the floors looked freshly mopped, all the toilet seats were up, indicating they'd been freshly cleaned. City Walk has mentioned that the attractions such as the clubs and the nighttime bars are potentially going to stay closed longer than other places in City Walk, and that is due to the close proximity nature of these attractions. It doesn't allow for people to put into place the social distancing that is needed right now.
Please make sure you are wearing your face covering at all times while you're visiting here at City Walk. Of course, the proper way to wear that is over your nose and your mouth, unless of course you are eating or drinking. That same
When we headed over to the food court, it did look like it was open. There were people outside eating, the doors were open, but then we turned around and Bread Box, surprisingly, was closed. Now, one of the places I was most interested to check out was the tattoo studio here at City Walk. I know that the tattoo studio was open, and it was. And it was in fact one of the busiest places that we came across this day. There was a good flow of people going in and out, and it looked pretty busy inside. Cowfish and Vivo are two of City Walk's most popular restaurants, and as we were leaving City Walk, we noticed that it looks like right now they are not open. Finally, right before we left, we checked the movie theater, and that is remaining closed for now. But then we looked around, and the mini golf course right there, which is really fun, is in fact open. So we just got home from Universal City Walk Orlando, and it definitely was very interesting to see what was going on in terms of the regulations they had for people, the guidances they had for all the guests, and also to see the employees and to see how they were handling the situation and the protocols that they were taking. There were a few inconsistencies that I did spot. The main one being the car park. When we came into park at City Walk, they were spacing the cars out so that they were being parked every other row, but when we returned to our car a few hours later, there were cars parked on either side of us on the rows right next to us. So that was a little inconsistent. Also, when we were in the restaurant itself, although I'm sure that they were wiping down the tables in between each guest, the menus that they were using, they were on paper, so I'm not sure if they were throwing away or recycling the menus after each use or not. But if not, they were not requiring the guests to sanitize their hands in between using the menus. So I hope that they are doing something about that they are perhaps recycling the menus. I don't think you can sanitize paper, they weren't laminated, so I don't know what they were doing, but I hope that they were doing something about that, and so that guests' hands weren't touching the menus one after another. Also, when walking through City Walk, they did have in several areas the stickers on the floor reminding people to stay 6 feet away. Primarily, these stickers were outside of the restaurants and the quick service places so that people who were lining up, waiting to order or to receive their food were reminded to stay 6 feet apart, and they did have people putting into place that restriction in those areas. But when it came to just walking through City Walk, there wasn't anyone really spacing the people out. They did have employees walking throughout City Walk, more employees than I normally see, but they weren't really implementing spacing between people. Maybe that's because they don't know who's with which group. Generally though, people were being quite good within themselves and within their own parties. They were staying 6 feet away from each other. There was obviously a reduced capacity in City Walk. With the staggered parking, I'm sure that limits the amount of guests that are able to come into City Walk, and it did seem really empty, of course, compared to how it normally is. If you've been to City Walk, you will know it's packed, and it definitely was not the case. There was lots of space to move around, there was lots of free roaming space, so it was really good. Overall, I definitely do think that City Walk is doing the best that they can. I think that the guests were being respectful of each other and of the employees. Everything seemed to be working pretty smoothly. We had a really nice time. It was the first time that we were able to get out and to eat at a restaurant since this has all happened. So it was really nice to do that. We did really enjoy ourselves. Disney Springs is opening this coming week, so we're definitely going to be there checking that out to see if their guidelines match up with City Walks, to see if they're different, to see what's going on, and hopefully it's just as good. I'm sure it will be. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. I hope you got to see a little peek into what it's like at City Walk if you're wondering whether you should go or not. I hope it answers some questions. And thanks for watching.